Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boys, Jack and Izhan, with yet again another Stats with Jack, here to break down everything you need to know. Southampton and Spurs. Pretty much, I would say the preview. If you're making any sort of fiver bet, if you just need to know basically everything there is to need to know about the preview, this is the one. This is the show for you. But Izhan, how you keep it, my man?
Doing amazing. Thanks for having me on once again. Love to be here.
Love to be here. Love to read the stats. Love to nerd out with me, and it's good to have you back, Izhan. Hopefully, you can kind of give me a bit of insight as well as kind of a bit of kind of extra sort of details and stuff that maybe you wouldn't get anywhere else regarding Southampton, regarding Spurs. But let's greet a bit of the Harris Army here. We have Ribsy85 saying, "I wonder if Jack is going to look at that Prem League territory map thing the Athletic put out. I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it, my man. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, but Izhan, do you know? Any idea what he's talking about? It sounds like kind of a Game of Thrones kind of thing.
I think I have seen it. Let me just.
George Hill
I
here
think I
saying
have
cheers
seen it,
from
but
the
I'm not
others.
sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but Ribsy85, big yourself up, my man. Good to see you. George Hill is saying cheers from the other side of New York State, Jack. Looking forward to this banger of a show. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Harris Army. Let me know, George. Are you kind of Buffalo, Rochester? Or I feel like someone else maybe as well might be from Long Island. I'm pretty sure it's not you, so it's not that far away. I mean, that wouldn't be that far away from me, but let me know if you're in Rochester, Buffalo area, because my brother's going to school up in Rochester. So big yourself up, Georgia. Hopefully it's not too cold. Dark Sun G says, "Come on, you Spurs, Burnley, one Man United, one. Come on, Burnley, win for us. I expect a 3-0 win tomorrow. If they hold this out, I will say this: if they hold this out, people need to remind themselves and be thankful for teams like Burnley. I would say in the Premier League, Dark Sun G. We often kind of take teams like Burnley for granted. We kind of, make fun of them, but they get you lots of results as a Spurs fan. They got you that nice result against the Scum. The Scum were at home as well, and they got that beautiful result there. They might be getting one here as well against Man United. The Burnley, if they get relegated this season, I'd be very sad because, they do a lot for us as Spurs fans, especially this season, Dark Sun G. But big yourself up, my man. Cody Mack saying, have a good show, lads. Big yourself up, Cody. And also, thank you for joining us. Even just putting the comment and big yourself up, brother. Dan Coy saying, shame I can't make tomorrow. Only missed one home Premier League game this season. Get those 3 points. Come on, you Spurs. Dan, very, very jealous of you. Very, very jealous of you. Hopefully, it's a good reason to miss it. But big yourself up, Dan. Good to have you in here. Welsh Gal, good to see you as well. Absolute legend of both the channels as well. Another legend of both the channels, Anuska Ramschunder, is in the building saying good evening. Nice to finally have some time to tune in again. I've heard you've been very, very busy, Zanuska, and just want to say, just hopefully whatever time you can tune in, hopefully, it kind of takes your mind off of things because it seems like you have a very busy schedule. So Zanuska, big yourself up and welcome back in. Derek Hutchinson saying big up Jack and Izhan. Big yourself up, Derek. Thank you for also welcoming in Izhan. Ribsy saying not possession territory like on the pitch, not territory like land. I thought it was like some sort of Game of Thrones sort of thing, like kind of like regarding like Premier League teams. But Ribsy saying regarding like maybe heat maps, maybe is probably what he's discussing
Yeah,
and
I
kind of
think
things
it's
like
I think
that.
it's like heat maps. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Ribsy, I'll take a look at it, my man. Maybe message me on Twitter, hopefully, Ribsy, but I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it. Matt C saying, how's it going today? It's going well, my man. It's going well to my man. Get the early preview, get the before the day of kind of preview, give you everything you need to know. Fall asleep with the stats, kind of just serenade yourself with the stats, my man. Spaghetti Slayer saying, I'm liking how the table is looking. Hopefully, Burnley get the winner. I really want them to get that results. Come on, the Clarets. How we all doing? Says William. Pretty good to see you. Para Miguel Scaberto, the absolute legend, saying big up Jacko and Izhan. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big up Para Miguel, absolute legend. Carl Simpson as well. Good to see you. A really good absolute goat as well. Rockstar 90. Really do appreciate all the support as well on both channels, my man. Very, very nice to me, Rockstar 90. Good to see you as well. Mark Cousins, big yourself up. Good to see you. And yeah, Ribsy, maybe message me it. But everybody, we're going to start breaking down the stats. We're going to get Izhan in here. We're going to start kind of just breaking down everything you need to know Southampton. If you feel like at any stage, do feel free to throw in a super chat, maybe just to stop us at any stage, maybe ask Izhan something regarding maybe something about Southampton, something you know about Spurs or Tottenham, feel free to throw in a super chat as well, just to support the channel, just to support David and I on this journey. But we will now start breaking down Southampton and Tottenham. But first, Ishan, I just must say to you, I mean, Southampton, is this kind of a team that maybe you're a fan of, that, maybe that kind of like a lot of like last time with Brighton, a lot of us, were exposed Harry Potter, Graham Potter fans. Is Southampton maybe a team you admire, kind of respect, or someone that you feel like, will just kind of bulldoze?
Look, I like their style of play. They press high, they play intensely, they come out strong. I think Ralph Hasenhüttl, he's doing a good job considering the tools he has. So yeah, I do have somewhat of a soft spot for Southampton. I really like the way they play.
No, there you go. I mean, I feel like Hasenhüttl personally, everybody has not gotten a lot of respect personally in the Premier League, if you ask me. But cold hard facts, just to break this down, and Ishan, everybody, he does have some really interesting facts regarding maybe Antonio Conte's sort of tenure here at Spurs, and as well as a few other things regarding Southampton as well. But the cold hard facts, everybody, Tottenham have won their last 5 home Premier League matches versus Southampton this season. So it does show that, we've had good like some good success, it seems like, especially at home versus Southampton. Spurs have won 7 of their last 10 home Premier League matches, only the second time that's been done since Pochettino. And I even believe, like, Antonio Conte, apart from the Chelsea result, I don't think he's been beaten at home, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's been beaten at home. So that could be extended with the Southampton one. And maybe with another home fixture after, he could beat that Pochettino record, which certainly would say something. And then as well, since the start of 2021, Southampton have conceded 18 away Premier League goals, more than any other team. So Southampton seem to perform really well at home and don't seem to perform so well away from home. That could be having to do with partially the style. It could have to do with maybe the lack of real talent and the lack of real quality players in the lineup. I'm not exactly sure, but everybody, Southampton, there is somewhat, you could say, a likelihood that there is a dramatic difference between their home form and their away form, everybody. But Southampton also have the second most drawn games in the entire Premier League. I believe tied with someone else, but kind of similar to Brighton in that it's not always super easy against Southampton. I'll tell you that. But Ishan, take it away, my man.
Mhm.
You have some stats regarding expected goals, I believe, for Spurs, expected goals
Yep.
against. So you can maybe break down OPPDA, which is a great stat as well. Just
Mhm.
just give us the stats, my man.
All right. So in terms of OPPDA, Southampton have 8.52 per 90. So that's 16th in the league. That means they're not very good playing out from the back. Probably they like to play more direct. It's not. It doesn't mean that their defenders are poor on the ball. It just could be reflective of their play style. They like playing direct. They like kicking it long, and then like kick and chase tactics. They like
Mm.
pressing high. Our PPDA is 12.02, and these stats are since Conte came in, since November 1st, since Conte came in, and we are 7th in the league. So we do like playing out from the back to an
So we
extent.
play out the back a bit more often than maybe some people would
Yes,
like to believe. We try to link some passes
yes, we
together.
do.
We try to be able to, keep possession. And especially I think that's good for people to hear is on maybe after those Chelsea sort of performances where you kind of felt like, we were getting kind of bullied, but maybe on average or most games that we do play, we do try to complete a lot of passes from out the back.
Yeah, and additionally, Southampton's PPDA is 10.26 since November 1st, since Conte came in, seventh, which is 7th in the league. That means they do like they are very intense pressers. They more often than not don't let teams play out from the back too well. They like pressing high. And additionally, for Spurs, our PPDA is 12.02, 12th in the league, so slightly below average. And you'd say that we run more of a mid block under Conte.
Mm, yes, which would
So I,
we're not exactly high pressing, but we
mhm,
we try to press in certain moments of the game, but we don't exactly just expose the defense maybe at all costs to try to win the ball half the pitch.
Mhm.
We allow the other team the ball when they can.
Yeah, it's like a mid-block setup, I would say.
Mm. There you go, everybody. Anything, regarding expected goals or, expected, goals
But
against,
yeah,
maybe have Spurs been outperforming, have Spurs been keeping the ball out of the net maybe a lot more than we expected?
mhm. So since Conte came in, our expected goals against has been 8.73, which is surprisingly second best in the Premier League, only behind Man City, and not by much. Uh, we've conceded 8 goals, so that means Hugo Lloris is doing a pretty good job in net. If our expected goals against is 8.73 and we've only conceded 8, that means he's overperforming. So, big up Hugo Lloris. However, for Southampton, since November 1st, Southampton have conceded 19.45 expected goals against, and in reality, they've conceded 22 goals.
Hmm.
So that means their goalkeeping isn't as strong as ours.
No, certainly not. And maybe we'll talk about that later when we try to, target Fraser Foster, everybody. But thank you, Ishan, for all those beautiful stats, everybody. And Ishan just broke down everybody. A lot of really crucial stats to kind of explain the revolution that we're kind of seeing here under Antonio Conte, which I think is on. Thank you very much for providing those. Our head-to-head stats here, all-time record versus Southampton versus Spurs: 85 wins, 51 drawn, and 64 lost. Whereas our last 5 fixtures, we had a draw 1-1. I believe that was away from home. And then we had a win 2-1 at home. We did also have a win 5-2 away from home under Jose, I believe. And then a win 3-2 at home. And then a draw 1-1, I believe, away from home. Our record or versus Antonio Conte's record versus Hasenhüttl is 0 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses. So just that last result basically is his whole record in his entire career versus Hasenhüttl. And Conte's record versus Southampton, though, is 5 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses. That was his first ever draw, even drop points against Southampton, everybody. Hasenhüttl's record versus Spurs is 2 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses. So, I mean, I would say Hasenhüttl certainly has had actually some results. I mean, considering the size of Southampton, he's gotten some results certainly against us. And I really actually respect Hasenhüttl. I think he doesn't. I just feel like sometimes he's unfairly kind of treated. Maybe he's, like I said, maybe everybody kind of has been, bigging up Graham Potter for a long time. I feel like Hasenhüttl has kind of been trudging around in the Premier League, trying to do progressive football, modern football, and hasn't exactly been blessed with great squads and has had a lot of changeover, a lot of turnover with the squad. So I would just say maybe a bit of a Hasenhüttl kind of praise moment, but that's about as much as you'll get from me. But Southampton formation, this is the predicted lineup. We do have Forster in goal, or Fraser Forster. Stevens, I think Zach Stevens or Jack Stevens, I believe his name is. He'll be probably playing center back. Recently, they've been doing kind of actually more 5 in the back, 3 in the back sort of formations. I think that's partially because they've been coming up against more teams that, actually, field kind of a 3 in the back, 5 in the back. But also because I think Ralph Hasenhüttl, everybody, he has also used the 3 in the back and the 5 in the back before. So maybe it's not, too mysterious or, kind of too foreign to some of these Southampton players. They have used it before. They're familiar with it. And so recently they've been doing kind of 3 in the back, 5 in the back, especially against Wolves. Against Wolves is 3-4-3, which we'll probably be deploying tomorrow. Southampton did deploy kind of a 3-5-2 of sorts. But they're going to go probably Jan Bednarak, I'm thinking, in the middle. Salisu, one of their players, Lianco, I believe, is out for this one. Salisu, I see maybe playing left-sided center back. Livermento out wide. James Ward-Prowse, Romeo, and then maybe Diallo or like a Stuart Armstrong potentially in there. Kyle Walker-Peters, Che Adams, and Adam Armstrong up top. But anybody in this particular lineup, or maybe even the formation itself is on. Do you feel like Southampton will field a 3 or a back 3 or a back 5, or do you feel like they might do back 4? They
It's
did a
it's
back
hard.
5, I think, last
Yeah.
time against us.
It's hard to predict because they played a back four against Man City and they got a really good result there. So it could be that possibly he'll stick to that, or maybe he'll try to surprise us and mix it up. So it's really hard to say considering that both formations have been played before. They are quite a flexible team. So yeah, we could see a 4-4-2 potentially.
Could see a 4-4-2 potentially. You're absolutely right, my man. And it could be one of those. Last time it seemed like they did do a five in the back, everybody, and so potentially this time out they could go for a version of that. That's what I predicted, but Izan is absolutely right and certainly isn't wrong when it comes to the fact that they could go for something like a 4-4-2. But let's go on to their unsung hero, everybody, and their unsung hero is a combination of two players, and it is Kyle Walker-Peters and Livramento. One of these is a lot of these are Kyle Walker-Peters, and a lot of these are Livramento. So I figured I just kind of combine the two and kind of explain how a lot of their kind of creative kind of play comes from the wingbacks. And I've said this before, it doesn't always need to come from central midfield, creative sort of kind of play and, players that are very progressive. It can come from your wingbacks. And I think that certainly is the case with Southampton. And these two together, fourth most key passes with 12, I believe that's Kyle Walker-Peters' stat. Second most passes into the penalty area, third most progressive passes, second most goal creating actions, which I do believe is Kyle Walker-Peters with 5. I think that's pretty impressive. Most carries into the final third with 38. Most progressive carries with 105. Most players dribbled past. I believe those last three were all Livramento. Livramento is an excellent ball carrier and excellent dribbler, everybody. But these are the unsung heroes. But you were kind of thinking maybe Salisu could be a bit of an unsung hero, though. Izan. Why is that?
Salisu, right? He's only 22 years old, and he's a very talented center back. In terms of interceptions in the Premier League, Salisu is the only player who has above 50. He has 53 interceptions in the entire Premier League, and the second, who's the second place player, has 43. I believe that's Declan Rice, who has the second most interceptions in the Premier League, and Salisu has 53, coming from that center back role. Plus,
Mm.
additionally, Salisu has 3.06 progressive carries, 3.23 progressive passes per 90, and he has 0.54 completed dribbles per 90, which for a center back is very impressive.
Yeah, that
So
is actually, to be fair.
Salisu, I really do rate Salisu. I know he got sent off last time, but I don't think that's going to happen this time, especially coming off a man of the match performance against Manchester City.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And to be honest, like Salisu, I know Sean doesn't exactly like the guy, but I would say I know he had that red card against us. But personally, I do think he is an excellent center back. He's a very progressive center back in the way that he even tries to play passes for Southampton. He tries to get the ball up the pitch a bit quicker than others. He gets stuck in. I think he has some of the most aerials won. He leads a lot of the stats in Southampton's book. So although maybe our impression of him hasn't been so great, I would say Salisu certainly is on maybe just to maybe kind of make Sean a bit mad here. I would say Salisu this season has been a great player for Southampton.
Mhm.
Alrighty then. There's your answer, everybody. But Truth Set Free says New Zealand legend Shamu is in the house. Big up, Truth Sets Free. And I absolutely love all these emoticons here, my man. Good to see you in here, Truth. Absolute legend as well. Hopefully you're keeping well, and hopefully Massachusetts as well, brother. I mean, hopefully it's not too cold. I will tell you, I'm not liking going outside these days. But big yourself up, Truth Sets Free. Really do appreciate the donation. And Dark Sun G saying, game over. Burnley drew with Man United. Come on, you Spurs. Let's win. Dark Sun G, this is what I'm saying. We sometimes take Burnley for granted. We take Burnley for granted. The results they can get. They've gotten two great results against top four contenders. Two great results against Arsenal as well as Man United. I love what Burnley can do sometimes. I know maybe they aren't maybe everybody's favorite to watch, but certainly they get good results for us this season. They've certainly have. And If we were to able to smash them as well, and then they were to cause trouble to all the other top 4 teams, I think that would just make it unbelievable. So Burnley, I just want to say, everybody, sometimes we take Burnley for granted. We take Burnley for granted, and Dark Sun G, I know, certainly doesn't. And big yourself up, Dark Sun G. The Truth Sets Free says we own this pub league. Osimhen is incoming. I can't believe these Osimhen rumors. Truth is on. Or have you heard about this? You know, the fact we're rumored with Osimhen. It sounds
Oh
ridiculous.
my
He
God.
moved to Napoli. He moved to Napoli for like what, 60, 70 million?
It was
And the
he
fact that
was
we could be rumored with him, it seems a bit ridiculous.
I believe Osimhen is like the most expensive African player of all time. But
Yeah.
if we manage to land that guy, oh my God, we're gonna have a really, really good time in the Premier League. Him and Kane up top. Oh
Yeah,
my
that'd be
God.
absurd.
Oh my God.
That would be
If it's
absurd. I
true,
mean, so
if it
much pace, so much
happens,
power,
mhm.
so much pace, so much power, so much finishing ability. The 3-5-2 would just look dirty with him and Osimhen up top. I mean, that would just be filthy. But True Sets Free, that sounds spectacular. Certainly I would say, I know you love Obafemi Martins, but I would say he's probably already surpassed Obafemi Martins in terms of whatever status he has. But Osimhen, I would take any day of the week. I'm actually quite surprised these rumors even exist, but big yourself up, my man. Big yourself up, Truth. And we will move on from our unsung heroes here, everybody, to the key player. And I think it's not a big surprise here. It is James Ward-Prowse, the most goals in the entire Southampton squad with 6. 3 of those were penalties, though, so that must be getting out of the way. But I must say, he is the penalty kick taker, and he still had 3 goals. I bet those 3 goals were absolute bangers. I bet they were free kicks or, some distance, sort of shots of some kind. One of them was that goal he scored against us, which was still a great goal. Most key passes in the entire squad with 34, second most shots in the entire squad. I thought that was actually fascinating, Ishan. The fact that James
Mhm.
Ward-Prowse has the second most shots in the entire Southampton squad. I mean, how do you kind of explain that? Is he just kind of just launching them from distance all the time? Or is he really that much of kind of a box to box kind of midfielder?
No, James Ward-Prowse, he's a really excellent player. I think people just think he's a set piece merchant, but he's way, way, way more than that. Even in terms of, chances created, even it's written most shot creating actions. This guy can really do it all. He can really do it all. I mean, he scored that banger against us, and he's more than a set piece merchant, I would say.
Much more than a set piece merchant. You're absolutely right, my man. Third most passes into the final third with 73, most switches of play with 59. I think that as well just shows that the guy is that deep lying sort of. He can be that box to box midfielder, but he can also be that deep lying sort of playmaker for us. I feel like James Ward
Mhm.
Prowse. Most shot creating actions, 53. Most pressures in the entire squad with 325, especially because we do know Southampton at times they do try to employ that sort of very Bundesliga like high press and very intense sort of pressure. And James Ward-Prowse, everybody has the most pressure. He's one of the hardest working players in the entire squad, one of the most prolific players in the entire squad, one of the best players in the entire squad. And that's probably why as well. Not only I think being a bit homegrown, I believe for them, but also he just wears the captain's armband because he's a leader out on the pitch. But there it is, everybody, on James Ward-Prowse. We are going to go to Dark Sun G's super chat here, and he's saying Veghorst got the assist for the equalizer. Now, if Gooners lose to Wolves, then we can have a great week. Then we beat Southampton. Man United is dreadful at the moment. Lots to break down here. I'm actually delighted to see that Veghorst got the helped in the equalizer. It's beautiful to see that Veghorst transfer. I rated it with, I think,
Darius with
I think
Darius,
Darius
right?
said it was one of his favorite transfers or rated it quite highly. You could probably say so
Mhm.
because they absolutely overpaid for Chris Wood. Even though I respect Chris Wood, I think they really
Chris the
overpaid for
Goat
him.
Wood.
Chris the Goat Wood, absolutely. Is on. Absolutely, But Veghorst, the fact that they paid half the fee with Veghorst, it's probably a better player. Unbelievable. Unbelievable to see. But Dark Sun G, I'm so glad to see that he's already kicking it off well for Burnley. But Southampton, maybe if we get the 3 points here is on, to Dark Sun G super chat, and maybe the Gooners, get a bad result against Wolves, top 4 could be made even easier with some of these results this weekend
Yeah, definitely. I think
or
if
this
we
midweek, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, if we win our next game, we're right. We're gonna overtake Arsenal, because, and we also have games in hand. So don't forget that. So even if the scum beat Wolves, which they won't because they're gonna lose, but even if they do beat Wolves, we're still favorites for top four.
Yeah, there you are, Dark Sun G. There you are. I think we're already, one of the favorites for top four, Dark Sun G. But now, if maybe Wolves, pull off a good result against the Scum, our chances are only bettered. And especially with this Burnley result. And again, everybody, we take Burnley for granted. We take Burnley for granted. But I would say
Big up
certainly
Sean
could
Dyche.
help us out. Could certainly help us out. But Dark Sun G just wants to say, big yourself up. Truth sets free as well. Big yourself up. Anybody else that wants to throw in a super chat, feel free. It really does help the channel as well. It does also, if you want to skip the queue and just kind of get a bit of a talking point in regarding anything regarding Spurs and Southampton or just the Premier League in general, feel free to do so. It also does really help the channel, everybody. But that is the key player, James Ward-Prowse. We did just break that down. So now we're going to go to how do Southampton attack? And one of the first threats I've broken down here is the fact that I feel like Southampton, for me personally, a huge majority of their attacks do kind of come from their creative wingbacks. Um, they they're kind of more attacking than they are really defensively sound. Kyle Walker
Mhm.
Peters as well as Livermento, they're really good at taking on their man. They're really good at surging forward. What I'm just trying to highlight here is that it's very likely that you could find a moment where maybe one of their fullbacks, actually not a striker, but one of their fullbacks makes maybe some sort of deadly run in behind or maybe out wide that kind of leads to something of a goal later. And that's what I'm trying to highlight here with Livermento. But do you feel like Kyle Walker Peters and Livermento were actually weirdly probably one of their best threats, if not one of their main threats for Southampton?
Definitely. I rate both Livermento and Kyle Walker-Peters. I think Chelsea, they do have a buyback clause for Livermento as well. So even Chelsea, they do rate Livermento. He's a really talented player, and he is really good at getting forward. Both of them are. And I think our fullbacks might be pinned back a little just
Yeah.
because of their offensive threat.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that as well, that they would kind of pin us back, especially in the beginning of the game, because these guys are kind of dangerous going forward. And we broke this down earlier, is on Livermento has I believe, the most players dribbled past in the entire squad for
Mhm.
Southampton. So he's even somebody that could actually skin past, someone like a Region.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and the fact that he's so young too, it makes it even more surprising. I believe he's only 20 or 21. So that guy has a lot of talent. He really does. And I'm kind of scared going into this game because Southampton, especially at the start, they like playing intensely. They play really quick at the start, and if they score first, could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we could be in a lot of trouble. And I feel like everybody, this is again, like, it's not always like a midfielder or a striker that could be maybe the best threat for a team. I would actually argue their best threat is potentially a James Ward Prowse sort of free kick kind of situation. And then, their fullbacks, their wide wingbacks, especially if they rock that 3-5-2 or that kind of back five, back three formation like they did last time. And if they do it again, which they've done against other teams, I could expect actually their wingbacks to be their huge threat. And so that's what I'm basically just trying to highlight here, everybody. I think Izhan really did help with that. Another one here, which I don't think we need to dwell on too long, is just James Ward-Prowse outside the box, whether it's a free kick, whether it's, just a bit of time and space outside the box. The guy has an absolute banger of a right foot and will slot it home from distance, from close range. He just has an unbelievable right foot. He really can, absolutely have a swing at it sometimes, is on. So that's basically the other threat that I'm trying to talk about here with Southampton. As we always do, we try to highlight maybe three different ways that Southampton could score or potentially at least hurt us, in the upcoming match tomorrow. Do you feel like James Ward-Prowse? It's a bit of an obvious one. Anytime he's
Mhm.
outside the box, outside the 18, and has a bit of time, a bit of space, he could probably really punish us, whether it be a free kick, whether it even just be an open play sort of situation.
Yeah, free kick, open play. This guy really has a strong shot on him. He has a lot of control, and sometimes our defense can be caught sleeping. We saw against Basuma, our Harry Winks was caught napping, and then he banged it.
Yeah.
He banged it in. So And James Ward-Prowse, I would say, has a better shot than Basuma. So I don't know. It really could be a big threat. He did score that banger against us last time, so we
Yeah, he
could see it
did.
again.
No, he did. He did, and those. I mean, he's three of his goals. He again, everybody. James Ward-Prowse, I believe, top goal scorer in the entire Southampton squad. I know three of those were penalties, but I believe three of them, the three others, I believe they were all still pretty spectacular goals, and that's what we're just trying to highlight here from outside the box. He is absolutely deadly. But the truth sets free in here with a super chat saying Harry Potter is a poor man's Izhan Khan. Absolute wizard. There you are, Izhan. I mean, Graham
Big
Potter,
stuff.
he's learned it all from you. He's learned it all from you.
Yeah, Guardiola sometimes calls me up, he asks me for some tips, He got
Mm,
that draw against Southampton, he didn't listen to me, so that's why he got that draw against Southampton. But, usually, Guardiola and even Klopp sometimes they call me up, asking for some help.
mm. Well, there you are, everybody. Any Man City fans, if you want to know maybe why, Man City aren't rocking the striker this season, it's because Izhan is so persistent with not using a number 9. But Dark Sun G in here with a very generous one saying, I hope we beat Southampton and then they release their defeat on to Man United on the weekend. Then it will be a huge LOL moment. Son, Cootie, Ben, and Kulu, Kane, Stevie, Pierre Hoiberg. Once Skip returns, our second half will be deadly. That's fascinating. So let's say we smack Southampton is on. Do you feel like
Mhm.
Southampton are kind of the sort of team that maybe like we kind of then maybe take out all that kind of pent up energy, all that pent up kind of defeat Man United the following weekend? Let me just check for them, especially if it's at home. I would say it is absolutely well in hand that they could get a result. Let's just make sure it's away from home.
It's away.
Unfortunately, it's
It's
away
away,
from
yeah.
home. So, what do you say? Do you think that could be possible? Do you think, let's say we give them a 3-0 smacking at home? Do you think they could take that energy over to Old Trafford and maybe give them, maybe the same thing we gave them?
I'd say that I think Wolves gave them a spanking as well, 3-1, and then the next game they pulled up with a draw against Man City. So, the team is really like, the Southampton team is
They
quite resilient.
fluctuate.
Yeah, in fact, they have two really good results against Man City. I think they got two draws against Man
They
City.
like playing. They
Uh,
actually prefer playing the bigger teams by the looks of
yeah,
it.
they even beat West Ham 3-2 this season. So, they do like playing the bigger teams. They do like playing the bigger teams. They seem to be up for it in the bigger games.
Interesting. Well, there you are, Dark Sundry. There you are. They seem to be up for it in the bigger games. Like Isan is saying there, I like your lineup. I really like your lineup. Personally, I don't see Kulu starting. I'd like to see Stevie B come, start at some stage because I feel like he's on a bit of good form. And I don't want him just to all of a sudden, kind of fall off again from not really playing. And normally this is coming from someone who doesn't give a lot of support for Stevie B. But I do kind of want him to, maybe get a bit more play time, especially considering that Lucas I feel like isn't playing particularly too well. But maybe we'll wait after this game to give Stevie B a bit more time. But absolutely, and then once Skip returns, he'll be deadly. And Bentancur coming on in the second half to shore things up. Kulu coming on to provide a bit of threat. I think Dark Sun G, it's going to be a dirty second half, and hopefully we give them enough of a spanking that they'll return the same sort of deal over to Man United. But Dark Sun G, big yourself up, my man. Really do appreciate the support. Really do appreciate the generous super chat as well, brother. But everybody, we are going to keep moving. We're going to keep moving past now. I believe the James Ward-Prowse threat was the one we did last time. We're now going to move on to the last and final sort of threat for Southampton. And it is basically on a high pressured, like Southampton. They come out
Yes.
really fast. They come out very
Yes.
hot. They're a bit kind of like Leeds United, you would say, where they start out very hot and very heavy. And what I'm trying to basically portray here is Sanchez will find a moment. I'll pause it for you here. Sanchez will basically pick up a moment here where he finds himself with, a very bad situation where he doesn't really have a lot. Maybe he can play Harry Kane, but he doesn't really have a lot in front of him. Southampton, especially in the beginning of the game, they will kind of high press you. They will kind of, make things difficult for you in the intensity sort of way, kind of like maybe a Liverpool would.
Yeah, I think the last time we played Southampton, we definitely saw that where it was a very frustrating game to watch, where we would gain possession of the ball, right? We would pass it around a couple of times. Southampton would pressure our center backs, and then we just kick it long. We just keep hoofing it long, and then they would get the chance to recycle possession and have a go again against us. And it was very frustrating for the fans watching. And and that's because our defense obviously isn't the most technically skilled. And with Sanchez, we know there's a mistake. Sanchez has been relatively good in recent times, but we always know there's a mistake coming. And if there's a team that can pounce on a mistake, that's definitely Southampton.
Yeah, I would say so. They really do actually take advantage of those sort of mistakes. So Sanchez in this sort of moment, I would say everybody just like it could happen. Basically, what this is trying to highlight is Sanchez, instead of maybe just going, long, instead of maybe trying to, relax and even play back to potentially Romero or something, he tries to play into Lucas, a bit of a hospital pass, gets taken away. James Ward-Prowse then finds Che Adams through after maybe, using a decoy run from Adam Armstrong and they put it in the back of the net. And I would just say, look out for maybe, especially the beginning of the game, everybody, Southampton kind of trying to trap and kind of trying to, press our center backs into really kind of, sketchy sort of
Mhm.
situations, you might say. But we can now move on to how do Southampton defend everyone. And Southampton, I would say, it's kind of funny, Ishan. They defend well, I would say, from the front, but maybe
Yes.
not so well in the back, if you know what I mean by that. Like the back
Hmm.
line isn't exactly, watertight, but the front, is actually very hardworking, very defensive. So they do a lot of pressing from the front, and that's what I'm going to try to highlight here. You can see if they went for this sort of 3-5-2, which they could potentially, sorry about that, if they went for this sort of 3-5-2, which I could actually see happening, they could use Adam Armstrong and Che Adams to kind of press our back three, which could be that could be an advantage to them. The wingbacks can press our wingbacks. I could see, them overcrowding us in the midfield with James Ward-Prowse, Diallo, and Romeo. And maybe they leave a bit of, exposure with the back line, kind of having all one-on-one situations. But I've noticed also as well as on that Southampton, they often do two up front. So there will be some variation of kind of two up front, whether it be five in the back, three in the back, or four in the back. There will be some variation of two up front. But I feel like maybe the way they can hurt us defensively is by simply, like you said earlier, just winning the ball off of us in sort of a vulnerable situation.
Hmm. I mentioned at the start of the show that we do like playing out from the back. Our OPPDA is the seventh highest in the league since Conte came in. But one thing that we aren't mentioning is that Romero will be back this game.
Mm,
Hopefully, he'll play. And we know Romero has the on the ball. He has the
he
abilities
has
on the
that. He has
ball.
that composure. Yeah.
Yeah, he has that composure. We saw that against Brighton with that fake kick when he won the ball on that fake kick and he sent Neil Mope to the
Hmm.
ground. And with Romero, he's more cool on the ball. He doesn't lose the ball. He has better decision making. I think
True.
that will really make the difference in this game, rather than Dyer or Sanchez, who would just clear the ball, give them
Probably.
possession, and then they can recycle the ball back.
There you are, everybody. Hopefully Romero can be that saving grace, but that's the Southampton sort of breakdown of the defense. Now we can finally move on to how can Spurs win this game, everybody. And I just want to kind of break down just quickly. Sorry about that. Just quickly about like maybe the same sort of formation that Southampton have. Just maybe the areas that we can hurt them. We do, of course, have Ben Davies as our kind of progressive sort of center back. We have Sonny as kind of that pocket number 10, as well as Lucas. We've broken this down before in a tactics show. In the 3-4-3, it's almost like the wingers play as two sort of kind of like pocket number 10s that kind of play in between the midfield and the back line. So they kind of find that half space in between there. So they're going to be playing that sort of role. And then we'll have Harry Winks probably, who might be starting tomorrow, playing as a deep sort of playmaker. And then Hoiberg will be that kind of box to box sort of player for us. But this is, again, everybody, just maybe for a better sort of look. This is the lineup we're going for. The same one that we won against Brighton for this one. I don't see Bentancur starting for this one. I want him to start as on, but I do see the same lineup that we put up against Brighton. Eric Dyer is not available, I believe. Skip is not available. So with that in mind, do you feel like this could be the lineup tomorrow?
Yeah, I do think that this will probably be the lineup. I mean, if we're winning, like why fix something that's not broken. And yeah, the one thing that I can guarantee is that Bentancur will come on for Winks. That's
Mm.
one thing that I would put money on, that Bentancur will be subbed on for Winks.
Love it. Hopefully
Yeah.
so. Hopefully so. But I wish Winks all the best. I want him to play well, and we'll see
Yeah,
that.
of course, of course.
We'll see that though in one of the animations. I want him to play well. But unsung hero, I promise everybody, last time it's Hoiberg. Last time I'll take a break from him. But the guy, like, if you go into FB ref, everybody, like, he just dominates. Like, he just dominates everything when it comes to Spurs. And there are a lot of Hoiberg haters out there. And I just feel like if you just go into the stats and even just watch Hoiberg, you can actually realize that the guy sincerely has been practically carrying a pretty dead midfield for some time. And most passes into the final third, often he's criticized as not being a good passer is on, but the most passes into the final third in the entire squad, the most passes into the penalty area, which I think should be highlighted, everybody. I'll say that again. He is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and he has the most passes into the penalty area, the opposing penalty area in our entire squad. Again, somebody that I feel like doesn't get enough respect. Most progressive passes, highest long pass completion percentage, and I believe has completed some of the most long passes as well. So he also has a higher long pass completion percentage, I believe, than like Harry Winks and everything. And most switches of play, most tackles and interceptions, which is not a surprise, but he does in fact have the most tackles won and the most interceptions. So he even wins in both categories, and he has the most ball recoveries. Is on. I know I'm we're a broken record over here, especially me, especially Ellie, who are big Højbjerg fans, but this is my last and final time. We're not going to do it very much longer, for at least a few more. But Højbjerg, this is his last and final unsung hero. What do you say to Højbjerg? I feel like the guy is still to this day not given enough respect.
Højbjerg never given enough credit. He does all the dirty work. He even does the passing for us. He does
Yeah.
everything in our midfield. I mean, for the longest time, that guy has been carrying our midfield. He's been doing everything. He's been doing things that are outside the scope of his role as well. And it's finally good to see Bentancur come in, who seems like a very skilled footballer, and hopefully, going forward, we can have a Bentancur and Højbjerg partnership in the midfield.
Hopefully, I think they could be absolute ballers, but completely agree,
Mhm.
Hassan. But I promise everybody, last and final unsung hero for Højbjerg for a while here. But the key player who hasn't been a key player for a while now because he's been injured, but Sonny, everybody, who has the most Premier League goals. It's good to have Sonny back, and that's what I'm trying to highlight here. It's good to have Sonny back. Is basically the whole point. He practically dominated this key player section for a long time, but he wasn't able to do it since he's been injured. And everybody, it is good to have Sonny back, and that's why he's that key player. He gets slotted right back in there, and that key player. Most Premier League goals. I know that's going to upset Dave, but the most Premier League goals in the entire squad with 8, the most key passes with 32, tied for the most Premier League assists in the entire squad with 3, second most shot creating actions with 58, second most players dribble pass with 32. Lucas is still dominating that. Second most progressive carries. Lucas is still dominating that. Fourth most targeted player in the entire squad, which I think actually is interesting there, right? Because he hasn't been playing, I think, at least 2 or 3 Premier League games, if I'm not mistaken, at least recently, or at least in general, is on. And he's still, despite not playing very much recently, is still one of the most targeted players in our entire squad.
Mhm.
And so I think that's maybe something that we need to realize is, even though people are saying, I don't really believe it, even though people are saying Sonny's not at his best, like Sonny needs to improve, and everything, he's still somebody that, like, now that we have him back in the lineup, like, he is somebody that we rely on and somebody we look towards to create goals, score goals, do everything. And now that we have him back, that's probably just should be kind of, kind of reiterated the fact that he is a huge player for us. It's like having Harry Kane back. It's like having your best player back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Son does so much for us. When Kane wasn't performing at the start of the season, it was always Son, with the big moments, the goals, and you're always gonna lose if you bet against Son. And hopefully we can see some goals tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I, I just want Sonny. I wish him all the best, everybody, and I really hope that he can, remind us of what he can bring, to Spurs because he's kind of fallen off maybe a bit. But at the same time, like I feel like last time, a lot of people didn't give him a great squad, kind of player rating. I thought he still did well enough. Thought he created a goal. I feel like he'll create a goal against Southampton. I just want Sonny to, kind of, get back into that flying form again. But also, last stat, he even missed it here. Most carries into the penalty area. He's missed a few games, and he still has the most carries into the penalty area. The man is an absolute monster, everybody. But how do Spurs attack? The first one here is going to be a fully fit kind of front three is on. And it's also, again, kind of a reminder was when was the last time we had a fully fit front three? When was the last time that we had these guys kind of all combining together in that 3-4-3? So that's what this is basically just trying to break down here. And I'm also just trying to discuss, which we did in that original tactics show, how Lucas and Sonny, they almost play like these little kind of number 10s in front of Harry Kane. They're not actually the ones that are spread super far and wide, trying to, create space and create width. They're actually often playing really tight and really narrow and playing as almost as if they're like little number 10s, like in front of Harry Kane. Do you kind of agree? Do you feel like they're not
Yeah.
really responsible for keeping width? They're more actually responsible for finding those little creative areas in between the midfield and the defense.
Well, yeah, it's like the inverted winger position, I
Okay.
believe it's called.
Yeah.
Where like in the past, like your wingers would be right-footed and they would play on the right side to whip in crosses. But with more modern football, you have right-footed wingers on the left-hand side, so they can cut in and act as a goal-scoring threat, like
I
Son.
see.
And I believe that they occupy the half spaces, and then the wing backs play on the overlaps. So then you can overload the wide areas,
I
and you
see.
can break down low blocks that way. Keep whipping in crosses to eventually break down that low block. So that's basically where the tactics come from. And additionally, with the inverted wingers in that half space, the penalty box can get quite congested, and it's hard
Yeah.
for the two center backs usually to mark. So that's why in modern football we see more three at the back, three center backs because of those inverted wingers becoming so prevalent in the modern game.
Absolutely. I mean, they are so prevalent in the modern game. You're absolutely spot on there, is on. Just quickly, everybody, another really generous super chat in here from Dark Sun G. Dark Sun G, big yourself up, my man. Really do appreciate how much you support David and I. And he's saying here, I just noticed the Gooners could have beaten us if they played that match in January. I don't know when that match will be played, but now we have Son, Kane backfiring again. Two great signings and Cootie back. This is tough. I feel like we were going really confident into that game, into the North
Hmm.
London Derby. I see why. We were at home, a lot of players missing for Arsenal, but I was thinking about this as well, Dark Sun G. Like, no Eric Dyer, no Romero. Like, are we sure? Like, we want, I think at one stage we are missing another player. Yeah, no Son, I believe. So it was some other player I think we were missing too. And it was just kind of like, we don't exactly have the fully fit squad that we feel like we would probably want for the North London Derby. So I do see what you mean, Dark Sunji. Wasn't exactly fully certain that we would get 3 points out of that game, despite all the missing players for Arsenal. I see what you're saying, my man. But now that we have a fully fit squad again, is on like this animation is trying to show here, when we do have that fully fit squad, that fully fit front three, that fully fit midfield, that fully fit defense, we do look like a pretty good squad on paper.
I mean, even without a fully fit squad, we look like a good squad on paper because when we had Romero missing this whole time, we still have the second best defense in the Premier League based on expected goals against, and that was without Romero. And
Mm,
even with Son injured for a while, we had the fourth best attack in the league based on expected goals
wow.
scored. So now that we have both of them back, I mean, we could be a real force. I
There
mean,
you go.
teams are going to be really afraid to play us.
Yeah. No, teams will be really afraid to play us. They're absolutely right. But Dark Sun G, just want to say, my man, really do appreciate it, brother. absolute legend and really huge contributor to the channel. Just want to say, brother, big yourself up. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. And you're absolutely right. Having a fully fit squad, we start to be reminded how dirty the squad does look at times. Kulusevski, Bentancur coming off the bench. You have now like kind of a Ben Davies all of a sudden looking good. You have Romero in the middle of the back three. It's starting to look tasty again, I would say, Dark G, and I would take on the scum right now, and I certainly would feel like we'd give them a spanking, especially at home. And I'm kind of with you. Maybe we didn't want to admit it, but at least last time did kind of feel like maybe we were kind of also hurting a bit as well when it came to our squad coming up against the scum last time out. And so maybe I wouldn't say thank God it was postponed, Dark G, but I know what you're kind of saying. I know what you're kind of saying, but big yourself up, my man. Absolute legend. And Ellie in here with an absolute huge one as well. And she's saying, Jack, more lolly to make you jolly and have a good English brekkie when you're over here for the West Ham match. Ellie, really appreciate you. Really, absolute queen, absolute legend of the Harris Army. Ellie, really appreciate it. I believe, in fact, Ellie, I just booked all the hotels with the missus. We had our flight kind of changed and everything, so the flight will land in Manchester. Going to spend around like a day and a half in Manchester. Going to go over to Liverpool. Funny enough, going to kind of red territory there. But I heard it's kind of a good place to kind of hang out, especially kind of nightlife wise. Going to spend about 2 to 3 days there, head up to Edinburgh for about a day or so, then back to London for about 3 to 4 days. And in London, definitely going to have all the goodies, and certainly can't wait to meet you, Ellie, as well as Hoiberg in that beautiful pink Lamborghini that will probably be picked up in. But Ellie, really do appreciate it. A huge one. Way too kind. Way too kind. But Ellie, pick yourself up. Really do appreciate it. And just want to say, Ellie, way too kind to us always. Way too kind to us always. Really does go a long way, though, in supporting David and I. But Lazy 8 here as well, saying, Jack and Isan reminding me again how little I know about tactics. Big yourselves up, lads. I wouldn't say so, Lazy 8. I've heard you say a few things before, like regarding, the Spurs kind of situation, especially lots of times I've heard Lazy 8, at least in the car when I've been with him, he's kind of, given a lot of opinions that I would say the general fan base certainly has, which means you're on the right track, my man. So I wouldn't put yourself down like that. But Nick, really appreciate it. And I would say certainly everybody's welcome in the sort of tactics and stats house. It's a
Mhm.
tactics and stats sort of conservatory of some sort. Probably I should walk in like with robes and everything, Izhan and I together as we're, giving this presentation. But Lazy 8, Nick, big yourself up, my man. Ellie, just massive, 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 huge super chat. Really appreciate you as well, Ellie. A really big legend. And just want to say, big yourself up, Ellie. And sad we didn't have you on for the fan show, but next time out, we'll get you there and hope to see you a bit more on the channel as well, Ellie. Big yourself up. And Dark Sun G as well. Thank you so much for the consistent support. We are going to keep firing, everybody. We're going to keep going. Again, everybody, this was that little kind of, explaining the front three, a fully fit front three, what that sort of looked like, looking at these sort of pocket number 10s and what they can kind of do for us with Sonny and Lucas. They're even highlighted a bit in yellow there, and they form those sort of triangles, which we've spoken about before, probably review for a lot of people who've seen the tactics shows before on the sort of channel. But we are going to move on to the next threat, everybody. And oh yeah, I forgot about this, actually completely forgot about this. I did kind of a 3D version of it as well. Looks kind of a bit ridiculous, but I figured I'll just play it twice for you, everybody. But maybe just because I do kind of love you so much, and as well just because I did it, and figured I would. So a bit of a 3D kind of explanation of the same sort of thing. Looks a bit clunky, not really my favorite. I kind of prefer to do it in kind of the 2D sort of fashion. But there you are, everybody. A bit of a 3D kind of version of what we were just talking about as well. But we will move on. And the second sort of kind of animation here that I think is really important here is the fact that Antonio Conte, like you were saying, we're 12th in the league in PPDA. So we're not exactly
Mhm.
the most pressing team. We're not the least pressing team. We're kind of mid-table. We do sometimes rely on the counterattack, which is, I feel like, what I'm going to kind of speak about here. Even if we're kind of a team that's expected to dominate the other team, we do often, take advantage of moments when they try to, kind of put too many men forward in our half. And that's basically what I'm trying to break down here. So, Ishan, do you feel like maybe it's kind of needs to be said that often we are a bit of a counterattacking team, despite how well we even play?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a lot to do with the personnel in our squad. That's why all the managers that have come in have set us up to play counter-attacking, and there's nothing wrong with that. And look, it's working, is it not? So yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Southampton are quite susceptible to the counter-attack, especially because they like pressing high, they like defending from the front. That leaves a lot of space open, and Son, with that brilliant movement, that brilliant pace he has, he can definitely, you know, go forward, and then Harry Kane can play him in, especially when Livermento, I believe, who plays in the right back position, is, like up the field as it's shown in the animation.
Mm. Yeah, and do you feel like Harry, when we do these counterattacks, do you feel like Harry Kane? I feel like he doesn't detract from the counterattack at all, despite his lack of pace. I feel like he makes our counterattacks even better because he has an eye for a pass that practically no one else in the
Mhm.
squad has. So, do you feel like our counterattacks are actually even more deadly with Harry Kane?
I mean, Harry Kane is an anomaly of a player because a lot of people say that he fits the traditional number nine role, but I would definitely disagree with that. Number nines, most often than not, they're the furthest ahead in the squad. But Harry Kane drops very, very deep. I would consider him more as a deep lying forward. He drops in very deep. He plays in the ball into the wide areas to like Region, to Son, or to Lucas and Emerson, and then he makes the runs after they take it into the wide areas for the
Mm,
cross. So I would say that Harry Kane, he's very difficult to defend for that reason, because when he drops deep, the center backs, they have to follow him because he's too much of a goal threat. He's too much of an assist threat as well, and
right.
that's what makes him really hard to deal with.
It does make him really hard to deal with. You're spot on for that sort of kind of situation. And I think what's also kind of needs to be said is you can also see kind of like Region making a very deep run sort of here. And you'll see that
Mhm.
as well, where like when we do kind of counterattack from a deep sort of shape, you see Region, like, he's fully, he's with the back four, he's with the back five there, excuse me, and he will break with the whole team. And when Harry Kane rolls his defender, we've seen him roll his defender like, a washing machine, like, a load of laundry. It's beautiful to see sometimes the way he can just roll a center back and he'll find whichever pass he thinks will be the most deadly. Maybe that's that Sunny pass. Maybe it's that Lucas pass. But no, for him, it's going to be that Region pass. And the whole point here is that, Harry Kane will find these sort of passes that no one else can. He'll find these sort of like moments in the counterattack that probably no one else in the entire squad can. So even though he doesn't really have the pace to join everybody for the counterattack sometimes, he has the vision and the passing range that makes our counterattacks, I would probably argue, even more deadly, especially when maybe Southampton are trying to give us that initial pressure, that early pressure that we were talking about earlier, and they're, kind of deep in our own half. We can use Harry Kane, we can use this front three, we can use our wingbacks as that sort of release of the pressure, as that sort of, as that sort of way to kind of counteract their, kind of their intensity in our half. And the last sort of threat here for Spurs here, everybody, it's just the fact that Sonny wants a goal. I think he's hungry. I think Sonny's very hungry for a goal here. I think he's very hungry for a goal. And what Sonny for me is on, he hasn't. I don't. I think he's scored consistently. I mean, the guy's still, our
Mhm.
top scorer in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think he's not exactly played in the same sort of, high level that we're used to. But then again, the high level with Sonny is an absurd world class level. But I feel like Sonny he wants to get back into things to maybe prove to the fans like what we've been missing, with him gone and everything. Do you feel like Sonny could probably get a goal tomorrow? And that's basically what I'm trying to show here. In fact, it's actually a Harry Winks kind of, for Harry Winks fans out there. Harry Winks ball over the top when, Harry Winks is being put under a bit of pressure here, as you can see from the Southampton defenders here is on. He plays that kind of ball over the top, kind of Liverpool style to Sonny. But Sonny, do you feel like he'll get that? I feel like he'll be hungry. I feel like he's really hungry to score.
Yeah, I think with Son, we were quite reliant on him to have to do anything. We expected him to create. We expected him to score as well. And now with the whole team fit, the whole team firing, that's going to help Son because it eases the burden off his shoulders, and especially like with Winks, when Liverpool gave us a lot of space and Son and Kane were making those runs, Winks could get in a lot of passes. And Southampton plays similar to Liverpool. They do like giving their opponents a lot of space in favor of attempting to win the ball high. So I do think Son, with his movement and his pace, will definitely be a massive threat, especially because Livermento loves bombing forward. There's going to be a
Mm.
lot of space on those wings.
Yeah, there will be a lot of space on the swings because you can catch them out, at certain times. You're
Hmm.
absolutely spot on, You're spot on, my man. But there is the last and final thread, everybody. The last and final sort of animation for you. We are going to keep moving on, but we do have another big super chat in here from Ellie, and she's saying, "Here's some for a tub or two with the misses of Ben and Jerry's." As yes, we do have your beautiful ice cream in the UK too. Ben and Jerry's, it's the primo. It's the best there is. I would say even Ellie, at one stage when I was studying in Germany, even my housemate there was also like a huge Ben and Jerry's addict. It seems to be internationally recognized and loved and enjoyed. It seems like, and I'm still waiting for the day, Dave and I can be, the representatives and ambassadors of Ben and Jerry's, because certainly we'd be the best in the world. But Ellie, just want to say, way too generous, way too kind. This certainly would help, and maybe grabbing a few Ben and Jerry's. Even actually recently, I would say, Ellie, the place New York is absurdly expensive for everything, but sometimes ice cream wise, you can find a bit of deals, and sometimes you'll find Ben and Jerry's deals around here. Everything else is absurdly expensive, but yet ice cream seems to be the one that's not so expensive. So you can get fat on the ice cream, you can't get healthy on everything else. But Ellie, really appreciate the support, and definitely will help out with the misses and some Ben and Jerry's. For me personally, pistachio, can't go wrong. I do like the Americone Dream, but it feels like they have different flavors everywhere. So Cherry Garcia is one I think that's more international. That one's absolutely great as well. Ellie, really appreciate it, and the massive, huge ones. And looking forward to enjoying a bit of it in the UK. Maybe it tastes different. Who knows? Maybe it's like Coca-Cola where it tastes different somewhere else. But big yourself up, Ellie. Really do appreciate it. We are going to keep though moving on. Is on to players to target. And I feel like Fraser Foster is the first one to kind of bring out. I don't think he's a great keeper. He had that moment with Doherty where you're kind of like, okay, that should have been a goal. Like, that guy made a huge mistake. He's like 6'8", yet he is not exactly a very reliable keeper. And their other keeper is what's his name? The former Chelsea Caballero. It's not exactly two keepers that I would say are reliable, or even ones that can make world-class saves. So I feel like he's kind of one to target here.
Yeah, definitely. I mentioned how Southampton have conceded their expected goals against. They've conceded is 19.45, but in reality, they've conceded 22 goals. So that means their keeping isn't really that good if they're conceding more than they're expected to concede. So definitely, I think that we can definitely get some success scoring wise.
Yeah, and I think we should, take advantage of some shots from distance from Harry Kane, as well as Lucas, who we know has an absolute rocket on him. I would just say, everybody, take advantage of Foster. Like, he certainly is a keeper you can take a look at and we take advantage of. I certainly wouldn't be intimidated of him despite his height, and he even made that ridiculous of a mistake I said against Doherty, which is just a key example. Jan Bednarek here for me is on. Not exactly as talented as I would say as Salisu, is actually prone to a mistake. He is a bit of a leader, though, in the team. A bit more of a withdrawn sort of center back, whereas Salisu is kind of that center back that's a bit more aggressive for them. But Bednarek, I feel like he hasn't looked the same since, what's his name? Who's the new Leicester City center back? Why am I forgetting all of a sudden his name? The guy who moved from Vestergaard.
Vestergaard.
Since Vestergaard, left, it feels like Jan Bednarek hasn't been the same.
Yeah, Bednarek, his key weakness is that he's not very comfortable on the ball. He does seem to give it up in a lot of bad positions most of the time. And yeah, I do think that we should look to, set some pressing traps for Bednarek and really try to win the ball off of him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we should. And my final one is the third center back. If they do that back three, that back five, that third center back, it could be Stevens. It could be Leonko, but I think Leonko's not available.
I believe
It could
he's
be
injured.
whoever it is. Maybe it won't be a third center back. And then I just got it completely wrong. But that's what I'm going to say is the third player to target. I don't feel like you can target really anybody in their midfield. I actually feel like their midfield's kind of solid. Maybe you could do a wingback, like Isan was saying. Maybe you catch them out, but their wingbacks are also great as well. So it's hard to
Mhm.
say, with that third player. But key battles here is on Harry Kane versus Salisu and Betnarak. I feel like again, Harry Kane, he might, outclass these guys as he kind of did last time. And I feel like he was really unlucky to not get that goal. Of course, really unfairly ruled offside. I believe he played that pass in behind for Sonny, or maybe it was Harry Winks that did. I think it was Harry Winks that did. But Harry Kane versus these two, I think, is a huge key battle to begin with, because I feel like these two are going to have a lot to deal with Harry Kane. He's on fire. He's in form. He seems to be at his best, and he might, I think, outsmart them and outclass them. Despite how much I know you like Salisu, I see Harry Kane probably outsmarting some of these guys.
Yeah, definitely. I still stand by that Salisu is a good player. I would like to see him in a Spurs shirt. But yeah, Harry Kane is just on a whole other level. And like I said, with Kane dropping deep, it's hard for center backs to deal with because he's such a goal threat that you sort of have to mark him. And then if you do follow him up the field, when he's dropping deep, it leaves a lot of space in behind for the likes of Son and Lucas, who are inverted wingers. Obviously, they
Mm,
like staying inside, and then there's a lot of space to get through to goal. So that's why it's a sort of hard to deal
interesting.
with. I do think that the Salisu and Bednarik partnership, it works well in the sense that Salisu is sort of the aggressor. He's like the stopper. He likes to wing the ball higher up the field, and then Bednarik sort of like sweeps up behind him to an extent. But I think Kane versus Salisu 1-on-1. I think Kane is more likely to win that battle.
Yeah, probably Salisu, I would say, would give Kane more trouble than probably Bentner would. I
Hmm.
completely agree with you. The other key battle here, and everybody, we are approaching the end of the show, everybody. So feel free, everybody, throw in those super chats, throw in those comments as well, just to thank Ishan for putting in the work that he's done as well. Maybe just to throw a bit of support for the channel, even also to ask any questions as well. Feel free to do so. Throw it in a super chat, throw in the comments. So feel free to put them up on screen there. But everybody, we are approaching the end of the show. So do throw in those final comments, those final sort of questions, those final sort of ideas regarding the preview tomorrow for Southampton, getting that early preview, everything you need to know regarding Spurs on this channel. But we are now going into the key battle, and it is going to be Emerson and Region for me here. And it is just going to be Livermento and Kyle Walker-Peters up against them. And you did say at one stage, on that you could see them actually getting kind of pushed back and, kind of a bit pressed
Hmm.
back by these two because they're so good going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think Emerson will definitely be more pushback because he's not the best going forward. But we did see Emerson keep Cucurella, who's a very good left back. He kept him really quiet against Brighton. And, against Kyle Walker-Peters, I think he can definitely do the same. Emerson, I believe, will definitely look to attack through that left-hand side. And Emerson will keep it tidy on our right.
Yeah, I think he will keep it tidy on our right. I hope, Emerson, he's coming up against Kyle Walker Peters. Emerson, he does a good job at actually not showing people inside. He actually makes it very difficult, I feel like, for players to get
Mhm.
past him inside. So with Kyle Walker Peters maybe playing that inverted sort of right wing back, we'll see how that goes for him. I feel like, we might see a few times Emerson kind of just sitting him down and just kind of showing him the weight room, hopefully. But that is one of the key battles, everybody. That is one of the major ones right there. And the final one is Harry Winks and Højbjerg against James Ward-Prowse and Romeu. With Winks and Højbjerg against Ward-Prowse and Romeu, you kind of just look at it on paper right there. which midfield would you rather have? You're not exactly sure, I would say. It's hard to know exactly what sort of midfield you would want, Ishan. So what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that the midfields differ too much in quality. Um, and I think it could end up being sort of a dogfight in the midfield with Højbjerg, man marking James Ward-Prowse. We know that's where most of their creativity comes from. That's where most of their goals come from. And I think Højbjerg will have a job on his hands to keep James Ward-Prowse quiet.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a bit worried where like James Ward-Prowse and Romeo against Højbjerg and Winks. If it's a three-man midfield for Southampton, I could see them kind of making life difficult for that two-man midfield. Just need Harry Winks to play well. I need Harry Winks to step up for us. I really do. Um, yeah, that's all I can say. Just need Harry Winks to step up for this one because I would say if they do a three-man midfield, I could see them causing a bit of trouble to us because they use
Mhm.
that midfield to work really hard, and I could see them making life kind of difficult for Harry Winks. And I don't remember him. I think he had a good game against Southampton last time out, so hopefully he can continue that. But that is the end of the show, everybody, regarding stats with Jack and joined by Izhan. So hopefully you did enjoy. Feel free, everybody, throw in your comments, especially to thank Izhan. Everybody, throw in your comments to thank Izhan for all the hard work he's put in, taking the time out of his day as well to join me for this one to break down everything you need to know Southampton and Spurs. But really do want to say Izhan to you personally, my man. Thank you for joining me for this one.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. I mean, it's very insightful, tons of information. Just keep it up.
Appreciate it, my man. Appreciate it. Ellie saying this is for Hoybier. This is for bigging up Romero. Excuse me. What a player the man is. Sheer class. Love him nearly as much as Hoybier. I would say, Ellie, that is going to be the next kit that I will get is probably a
Hmm.
Romero kit. The guy is an absolute baller. He's just looks class. He looks like he gets, like he looks like he enjoys getting stuck in compared to other players. He actually gets kind of a sick thrill out of getting stuck in. He's also easily our coolest in possession, one of the calmest and most composed in possession. He's our best center back by a country mile. He's beautiful to see. Even in training, I kind of like how he's just always, kind of cracking a smirk and everything while he's playing. He just seems like football's way too easy for him, Ellie. It seems like it's way too easy for him. But big yourself up, Ellie. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, he was sheer class, the definition of class. And for me, the man of the match last time out, actually against Brighton. What would you say is on maybe to Ellie Super Chat? Do you feel like maybe man of the match last time out against Brighton, or would you give it to Kane?
I wanted to give it to Romero. If he played the full 90, I would have given it. But I think Kane's two goals, they helped us win as well.
Mm,
Hopefully, he went down with a cramp, which really worried me because I kept bringing up
yeah.
how hamstring injuries can be recurring.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it was just a cramp, and yeah, hopefully he's fit for today. And one thing I wanted, or for tomorrow, I hope he's fit for tomorrow. And one thing I wanted to say is that with Romero, like you just get so excited every time he's running in to get the ball. It's like he has a bunch of adrenaline like pumping through him, and he's ready to just take
Yeah.
him out. Just, like especially that tackle against Lamptey. Lamptey was limping,
He's
like
built
he
up
just got
energy for that
smacked.
tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so much fun to watch him play, especially him getting stuck in. It pumps me up a lot. I
It,
really
it
love
should.
him.
It should. It absolutely should. It absolutely should. But Ellie, really appreciate all the support today. Really thrown in huge contributions and huge donations. So just want to say, Ellie, really appreciate it. As well as Dark Sun G, as well as Truth Sets Free. Really want to say, big yourselves up, boys, and really big contributions, really big donations. And David and I really do appreciate it. It does really help support the channel and keep us firing and keep us going kind of on this daily basis that we have been doing so far. But that is it. Like I said, everybody, the end of stats with Jack Welsh Gal. Really do appreciate it. Odin's good to see you in here as well. Neil Shafted, really appreciate it. Thanks for showing up. Spencer Arnold, thanks for showing up, my man. Good to see you as well. Martin Walton, good to see you in here as well. Martin Walton, the absolute legend of the other channel as well. Ellie, really appreciate it. Really do appreciate it, Ellie. Really, way too kind to us. Way too kind to us. And Martin Walton, again, good to see you in here. Just making sure I don't want to miss anybody. Claude Murphy, good to see you in here. Ron Vinayak as well. There are lots of people in here, but just want to say, everybody, really, Damianos, good to see you in here as well. Thank you for joining us. Shamu, of course, the absolute legend himself. Just want to say, everybody, really do appreciate it tuning in for this one. We are going to be doing the Spurs pre-match build-up tomorrow, of course, as always, with David leading that one. He's got lots of good questions. This is kind of the preview to the pre-match build-up. So this is basically everything you need to know, stats-wise, tactics-wise, for that sort of show tomorrow. You have the pre-match build-up with Dave. Then you have the pre-match pump-up, followed up on We Are Tom TV as well after that. Then you do have the watch-along that we will be doing as well, joined by me, David, and Sean. But everybody, you will be catching us for everything you need to see tomorrow. Game day, I'll be seeing you bright and early tomorrow, right away tomorrow. And as always, come on, you Spurs, and in Conte we trust.
In Conte we trust.